Bride comes out this Friday, making it the latest in the long line of Frankenstein movies. Today we're going to go back to 1931, the original Frankenstein movie on film with sound, although it was very early in the sound era, so it basically is kind of filmed like a silent film. I'm Alex from Sandro Says, and I'm here to take you back to the classic, one of my favorite movies of all time. The only movie that might be better, in my opinion, as far as the old days, is its sequel, which we'll get into tomorrow. Anyway, please leave a like on the video, and let's get into it. So, I'll give you the story real quick, then we'll get into the background and all that other crap. Frankenstein is the story of a man trying to play God. The Frankenstein in the title is actually not the monster, it's the doctor, Dr. Frankenstein. I believe in the movie he's Henry, but in other versions he's Victor. Either way, Henry Frankenstein is the evil doctor here, although he doesn't necessarily intend to be evil, he more so is just obsessed with science. He has a demented sidekick named Fritz. Fritz is basically the original trope of the hunchback sidekick for the, mad scientist, where he sends Fritz on all his nefarious tasks and stuff. So anyway, the movie opens up in a graveyard. Straight up graveyard, 1931. This is where the movie is starting up, and this is one of the reasons the movie is considered so scary for the time, because it's like, oh my god. Now, Dracula did come out the year before, or the same year, but still, this was all very new to people. Anyway, the movie starts in a graveyard. Basically, they're waiting for someone to be buried, and then as soon as the person's buried, Fritz and Dr. Frankenstein, they leap and they basically rob the grave because they need parts. They need body parts. They need fresh body parts. So now they have a body. The next thing they're looking for is a brain. There's Dr. Waldman, who is Dr. Frankenstein's former mentor, but they went their separate ways when Frankenstein proved too obsessed with recreating life, human life. So anyway, Dr. Waldman is where Fritz was sent to steal a brain from. However, Fritz screws up. He's scared by a skeleton. He drops the container having the normal brain and ends up stealing a abnormal brain instead. This is written off as basically the abnormal brain shows differences to Dr. Waldman's class. He can say, oh, the abnormal brain has this type of, depiction. But in reality, it's just a way to say that Fritz took the wrong brain, and instead of seeing what this would have been like with a quote-unquote normal person, it's a murderer whose brain they took to put into this, 7-foot recreation of a human. So, while this is all going on, Dr. Frankenstein is supposed to be married. He's slated to be married to this young woman. His father is pissed that he's just disappeared. His best friend and or the woman, the guy the woman is dating, because the woman spends the whole movie with his friend, who's, I think, Victor in this movie. Anyway, so they eventually are like, hey, we need to see what's going on. She apparently hasn't seen him in 4 months. Was that normal in the 30s to just have someone you're engaged to and they disappear for 4 months? Anyway, they go to his castle to see what's going on, and they have to use Dr. Waldman to find their way there, actually, because they don't know where he is. Dr. Waldman has to show them, and he's like, you're not going to like what you find there. Sure enough, they get there the night that they are recreating life, that they are bringing Frankenstein to life. And it's a famous scene. You've seen it recreated. You've probably seen clips of it before, of all the crazy, archaic whirring and whistling, and just it's a castle, but it has electricity, and it has all these crazy medical devices and stuff, and Frankenstein lifts into the sky. They have electricity, a lightning bolt, bam, it blows out all the devices, and then he's alive. So Frankenstein's successful. He proclaims that he knows what it feels like to be God, which was a very blasphemous thing, especially for the 30s, and it kind of, leaves that as a, oh wow, that's the high point. And then all of a sudden, he's talking to Dr. Waldman. Dr. Waldman explains, like, that's not a normal brain you have in there. That's it's a murderer's brain. You have to be careful with this thing. While that's happening, Fritz has been antagonizing the beast, the monster as it's called, the fiend. It has a lot of names since it came into the castle. So basically, the monster fights back and kills Fritz, which convinces Dr. Frankenstein, okay, we need to take this thing down. What are we going to do? When they get that they release it to knock it out so that they can, I guess, take it apart, chop its head off, whatever you do to a undead monster. During the scuffle, Dr. Frankenstein, he gets overwhelmed, and at the same time his family shows up, so his dad is like, we're taking you home with me. So he takes him home, and Dr. Waldman is left alone with the beast. And Dr. Waldman is basically studying it, but I guess, attempting to start taking it apart. Of course, they left him alone with the monster. The monster wakes up, kills Dr. Waldman, goes into the countryside. And when he goes in the countryside, I forget exactly if he kills anyone, but before he gets to the famous person he kills. But either way, he comes upon this little farm near a lake, and there's a little girl throwing flowers into the pond, and she sees Frankenstein, and she's the first person that sees him and is not like immediately scared of him. So he's almost like friendly to her, because otherwise people have reacted to him like he's ugly, and you can't tell if he's murdering people because he's evil or because of the way people react to him. It's left up to your interpretation. However, he's playing with the little girl, and because his brain is so unformed or broken, whatever's going on, the little girl is throwing flowers into the lake, and they're floating. He takes the little girl and throws her into the lake to see if she floats. Now, of course, in the story purposes, the girl immediately drowns. So now the father, so Frankenstein runs because he doesn't know what to do because he's scared, and he keeps going about the countryside, I guess, killing people because he scares them, and then they freak out, so he kills them. The father carries the body of his daughter through town, and he's like, I want, someone to fix this. We need to kill the person who did this because she didn't just drown. You could tell that she was thrown in or strangled or whatever, or there's Frankenstein marks on her. So the town immediately just picks up pitchforks and torches, which is, again, a cliche, but it kind of started here as far as seeing it on the big screen. And they go to the countryside to find Frankenstein. Eventually, even Dr. Frankenstein, even I'm saying it now. They find Dr. Frankenstein and they bring him along, so he ends up finding his own monster. They get into a scuffle. Dr. Frankenstein gets knocked out while all the people are looking for them, and he ends up taking Dr. Frankenstein to a windmill, which is the final, finale of this. The people are outside with the torches. They're starting to light fire to the windmill. Dr. Frankenstein is fighting the monster on the inside. He eventually gets thrown out. Dr. Frankenstein gets thrown out and hits the windmill on the way down, like the actual mill, like the bing, and they were going to kill him originally, but I think they wanted to leave it on a happy ending for some reason, so he was left alive. And then Frankenstein's monster burns. It's hard to do it. Frankenstein's monster burns in the windmill and dies, seemingly. So, crazy movie, especially for 1931. This was one of the movies that was a reason that they came out with something called the the Production Code Authority, I believe it's called. Production Code Administration. Basically, they had no MPAA or anything back then, so movies could be whatever they wanted, which was fine, I mean, if you're a creator, but then it left it up to locales to say, we don't want to show this, we do want to show this. So they said, instead of having the government step in, we're going to have our own control, and so we can reel in these filmmakers as much as we want. And it had pluses and minuses, I guess. In the long run, clearly films survived, but it would have dialed back a movie like this. And I think we see the sequel is a little more cheeky and fun than this one. This is just dark. This movie is just, there's no music in it. The only music is the beginning during the credits and the end credits. The rest of the movie is just the scenes. So it's basically like a stage play. There's only a couple scenes shot on location, so to speak. Most of it is seemingly a soundstage, even the graveyard scenes, so it has a ethereal darkness to it. The characters, all the makeup, everyone looks crooked. Everyone, all the different scientists, everyone looks very odd. And Colin Clive, who plays Dr. Frankenstein, stand out from this movie. He had drinking problems, but he stand out in both this and the sequel. And then, of course, you have Boris Karloff as the monster. Just, even with all that makeup on, he's doing some very interesting motions, and he created all this stuff. All the tropes we know as Frankenstein's monster, he created. And speaking of which, the makeup and all this stuff, this was the first time any of that was done. Frankenstein's monster didn't have a visage before. Actually, in the books, he had long hair, and he was kind of like an attractive man, except he had black lips and translucent skin where you could kind of see through the skin, see muscles and stuff through the skin. So you knew something was wrong with it. His eyes were really red and something was wrong with his eyes. But from a glance, you'd be like, oh, that's a normal man. Whereas this thing, you can tell is a monster from the outset. The flat head, the bolts in the neck, that's all created here. The other interesting thing about that is that this movie, because it's a black and white movie, they wanted to make Frankenstein, this monster, I keep having to do that, they wanted to make the monster appear different from the humans. So because everyone has like a gray white tone on film at that time with it being black and white, so that's why they painted him green, which you don't see obviously in the film, but that's where the idea of him being green came from, because he was actually green in some early production photos that were able to be colorized or whatever the case may be, that carried over, and the green just showed up in that special way on black and white to make him look otherworldly, which is just, it's amazing. That's really creative to think of. Let me just check my other notes here. Sorry. Originally, Bela Lugosi was going to be the monster, and he did not like that idea. He wanted to be the doctor, or he wanted to be something without makeup on. He didn't want to just be a cartoonish monster, I think. There were a number of reasons why he ended up not doing it. But there was some test footage shot with him as the monster, and with Dr. Waldman as Dr. Frankenstein, the man who played Dr. Waldman playing Dr. Frankenstein. And that footage is apparently lost, but that's what sold the studio on doing this. The studio was actually in trouble. I believe it's Universal Pictures. They were screwed, and then Dracula came out, which kind of saved them, which made them steer even more into horror. So that's why you see this boom in Universal horror monsters in the next few years and the next decades and stuff. It proved that horror is something that always sells to people. Even before a code, after a code, they'll always find a way to produce interesting and fun horror. So it's actually, as much as I said it's from a book, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein came out 1818. I've read a good portion of that. I read some of it for research, and then I've tried to read it otherwise, but I've read the revised versions of it where it's in modern English, but the 1818 version, it's really like in that Shakespearean English where each paragraph has like super long run-on sentences with a lot of pauses, a lot of commas, a lot of words that we use today but used in different ways. So it's something that it's a long read, because even though it's a short, lengthwise as far as pages, each page takes a while to read and actually discern what's being said. So that's why I haven't fully finished it yet, but it's wild. So I'm actually going to get more into the differences between the book and the movie in the Bride of Frankenstein video. But it's interesting that a lot of the ideas for this came from a stage play and from like 1917, I believe it was, which was an adaptation, obviously. And that's where a lot of this was changed, because the book is vastly different. Frankenstein is not the monster is not a mute monster. He's not unintelligent. He learns fairly quickly in the book how to converse, how to think for himself. So so anyway, the book is just it's a lot of fun to read. Otherwise, both of these movies are just huge tentpole movies. Dracula in its own way, I love Dracula just because I love Dracula more so because of the sweeping sets and all the way your mind wanders on that movie. This is more of just like a quick, amazing roller coaster ride. Like it's 70 minutes long, and even with that, with the beginning credits where the guy comes out and warns you about how scary the movie is. I forget who that is. It's the guy who plays Fritz, I believe. But anyway, it's a 65-minute romp. It feels super quick. And go see it if you haven't yet. It's the original. There's a reason they're still making these movies. It's not just because it was a good book. So let me know what you thought in the comments. Please subscribe if you're new here. Otherwise, just leave a like on the video, please. It really helps me out. This is Alex from Sandro Says saying I will see you tomorrow for Bride of Frankenstein. Take care.